kind of getting over that initial shock, and you immediately begin to see this community come together, begin to work, and strangers helping strangers, and longtime friends helping longtime friends, and crossing over. And
after a while, our neighbor came over crawling through, and he said, "Well, what you gonna do, Elam?" I said, I don't know, Mike. He said, "Well, let's start here." We got a couple tractors. They both have tractors. And we had about 3 chainsaws, and everybody came together, and we said, well, the first plan is let's clear the road to where all our homes are connected, because we had 2 generators, but one didn't work.
Okay.
So let's share generators. So we opened up this road to the 3 homes so we could get back and forth and help each other, at least take care of ourselves. So we got started here, and so we just went on up the dirt road and went out to 286, cleared off 286 to 69. When 69 wasn't even open yet in the morning, it was closed from I-10 all the way to Blountstown. And so Thursday, people started cutting, and I don't even know who these people were. They were not the state. People just came and started working. And then first responders came in. So that was Thursday. You're dog tired, not what I do, you just work hard, chainsaws and tractors all day long. So we all did it. None of us are used to that, but we all helped each other.
And then on Friday morning, I was able to get a generator to run the main studio and the small FM transmitter on extension cords instead of tying into the building to get back on the air to start giving out information. Once they get the radio station on and the studio up and running, I would go down to the Emergency Operations Center, gather information that I could, take notes, that print out stuff for me there, would come back here and get it on the air. And did that for probably a week and a half, almost 2 weeks, before we were able to get any kind of communication with them down there at all.
we became one of the major distribution points. Our fellowship hall for a couple of weeks was pretty much from one end to the other, stacked with water and canned goods and hygiene items, cleaning items, stuff for babies and just different needs. And we had different groups that came in and set up on our property and were providing hot meals to people. We were able to help coordinate that, and so we did become an area, I think, that we were blessed to be able to be a part of, helping people, give people encouragement and hope in the midst of that, and provide for just basic needs that they had.
And then by Friday afternoon, some of our family and friends started showing up. A group of them came from Baltimore, Maryland, and Delaware, from where my wife's family's from. And they brought skid loaders and chainsaws, and 6 young guys come down that were professional tree trimmers, and they started working.
George Drew and Marianne Silcox make up a mother and son team that operates Silcox Hydraulics on the edge of town. As heavy equipment found its way into the disaster area, they found themselves overwhelmed with equipment repairs.
We started getting calls. Y'all make hoses, y'all make hoses. That's all we was hearing, is hoses, hoses, hoses. We quit making hoses 15 years ago. Yeah, so it's pretty crazy that happened. And then once we, was able to make it back in, we realized how much equipment was here.
Oh, okay. Well, don't throw it on the ground, throw it right here.
How much
and that way we throw it
construction was going on. And we'd have never guessed it. From the outside looking in, never guessed it. When we got back, it was like, it's finna blow up. All this equipment, things are gonna start tearing up. We got to gear up.
So Friday, when my wife's cousins started coming, and they were bringing people we'd never met before, and they were coming down here with the attitude that they were going to put tents up and sleeping bags and cook on grills. And we said, "Oh no, you're coming in the house. We're going to feed you. We got cots and air mattress and beds." And so they started moving in, and we started cooking. But we got a generator on Friday. My nephew, that's an airplane mechanic in Troy, Alabama, they brought a whole truckload of stuff down.
Blountstown Drugs, John Plummer, was amazing. He opened up pretty quickly because these people lost their medicines. They got flooded, or they're gone. And he opened up very quickly, was able to get people med refills I was able to stay in contact with him constantly, so I would see these people in the ER that needed these meds, you know, was able to call him. I mean, he worked around the clock helping us, and so these people wouldn't run out of their insulin or could get their blood pressure meds.
We were one of the only pharmacies that were open, and no one had internet service until Verizon came in and put hotspots up around. So we had an issue with being able to connect to the outside world to be able to process people's insurances and make sure they were getting all the medications they need. So the hospital sent one of their IT guys over to get us set up and going. So without the hospital, we wouldn't have been able to open like we were able to.
People came in from surrounding states. There was somebody from Texas came all the way down here and set up downtown Blountstown, and they cooked meals all day, every day, for about a month.
It's been all about keeping these trucks going, keeping people cleaning up the roads, and it's been about everybody else. We ain't had time to really even realize what we got to do.
I think it's an example as to how everybody in the community really picked up and helped each other out.
And he has worked several nights real late. I'm serious and working on other people's stuff, so they'll have it. And that's, you work on everybody's stuff, and you don't do nothing for yourself. You do it for other people because you know that they need it.
One of the neatest things is everybody helped each other. I mean, I had no idea people were so resilient and so determined and even skilled. I mean, you know, almost everybody around here knows how to run a chainsaw or a tractor or something. And that's what happened. People would help each other and kind of got going. So, you know, FEMA didn't show up right away. They're still struggling here in this area.
The second part of the storm that was overwhelming was the amount of goodwill and compassion that were poured out on our community. That was overwhelming as well.
My Cardinal rep, which is who we get our drugs from here, they deliver every day, had called me, and she was on her way from Tampa with a crew of guys with chainsaws and with bottled water and food and tarps and supplies that they just gave out here in the community. And that was somebody that had driven 6.5 hours into a disaster to give help.
This place here, it's coming. It's got a long way to go, but it's coming. We don't have stories like what you hear coming out of Panama City, where people gave up. And I mean, people here believed in it. They have hope.
Blountstown, Florida. It took a pounding. It was beaten down. But it isn't knocked out, and they're slowly getting back up. In Calhoun County, for WFSU Public Media, I'm Mike Plummer.